Hi guys, it's Nancy. Welcome back to my channel. We are playing with some new products from the March 2025 card kit, and we are going to play with my favorite products, which is of course foiling. So this is the stencil from the new card kit. It is called Mega Bloom. I already stenciled it ahead of time, and I used the new foiling fused gel from Gina on stencil layer 2. Now I set this aside for an hour. It's already completely dry. If you have not seen my previous videos, how I do the foiling on this, I've shown a couple different videos. You'll want to check out my toner foiling playlist or my Gina playlist. I did a comparison video on fused foiling gel versus duo foil transfer gel. They are both made by ThermoWeb, but they both work a little bit differently. I showed a comparison video on last month's release, which was the February release. Here you can see them. I also used some of the new ThermoWeb Deco Foil Gina release foils, but they're similar but a little different, so you can go check that video out. I'll link that down below in the description. But I use the Mega Bloom Mega Bloom stencil, and I did the first layer in Lemon Drop, the second layer in Wild Dandelion, the first layer of the leaves in Key Lime, and then the second layer in Lucky Clover. Then I went back with the Fuse foiling gel, and in the Wild Dandelion, which is layer 2 of the flowers, I did the Fuse foiling gel. So that is completely dry, and now we're going to foil it. And I'm going to foil it in the brand new Lemon Drop foil. Okay, so it's just really pretty, and I want that to shine. I want it to be pretty, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to foil that. So you can just cut down your foil to the area that you want to foil. You want to make sure that that area is completely covered. I think the new butterscotch foil would also be really pretty. You don't really need to worry about dusty because there's no black spots that are going to show through. And I just want to make sure that the entire area is covered in that foil. We're going to put it in our carrier sheet. I already have my Gina Fuse or whatever foiling machine you're going to use. If you have a Mink machine or a laminator machine, whatever you're going to use. But this Fuse foiling gel does require heat, okay? So I use it on number 3. Folded side of the carrier sheet goes in your machine first. And we're going to hold that as it goes through the machine. And comes out the other side. I'm going to move my inks out of the way real quick while we're waiting for that to come through. Okay, while we're waiting for that to come through, I also used one of the other stencils I showed in my unboxing, and that is this one right here. It is called Crop Circles, and I did that one, and it is all completely dry now as well. And one of the questions that I got in my group, which is the Foiling Snobs Club group on Facebook, we are not snobs, we just have a lot of fun doing foiling. We're going to give this a second to dry, is what do we do with the leftover foil? Okay, so I want to show you guys what we're going to do with that leftover foil. So, by the way, you can use this on any color cardstock, okay? A lot of you guys are like, oh, I want to do foiling on different color cardstock. Unlike toner foiling, when we do through a laser printer, you can use this on any color. So those of you guys that want to do this on darker colored cardstock, this is not a picky medium. So you can do this on dark colored cardstock, light colored, any craft cardstock, any color you want. So if you want to do this on, you know, glitter cardstock, anything you want, you can do it on any color you want, okay? But we're going to foil this. So let me pick out a beautiful new color of cardstock. Ooh, you know what? I think we're going to use let's use this beautiful teal color. I don't know the name of it, but this is one of the new colors. And same thing. I'm just going to cover them. And you want to make sure the whole area is covered. I'm not going to cut this down. And where did I put my carrier sheet? Just had it in my hand. Oh, right here. Same thing. Anything that is covered, if I had any of that gel hanging out, I would cover that. But folded side goes in first. Make sure it's nice and straight. And you'll notice I'm holding that as it goes through my machine until it comes out the back, okay? You want to have a couple extra carrier sheets on hand, by the way. But I'm holding it till it comes out the back. Now I can let go, okay? Because that's how the machine eats carrier sheets, is if you don't guide it through. This is completely cool, and now that this is completely cool, you can lift a corner and I'm going to reveal it, and now we have that beautiful foiling on top of our stencil. And that is done. Beautiful. Okay. All right. See how pretty that is? And we want to let this cool. And what the heat does is it reactivates the gel. Some of that lifted up there. And I used thicker cardstock. This is just like heavier cardstock. Normally I use this cardstock for my card bases because I want it to be heavier so it doesn't warp when I'm using my gel. Really pretty. You can see that part of the gel kind of went under my stencil. You can try to pick at that a little bit, but I don't really worry about it too much. This is starting to lift. I might put a little dab of glue under there, or put my sentiment over it to cover it, or cut that piece off. But that came out pretty darn well. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so a lot of times we have these leftover bits of foil. People say, what are we going to do with that? So this is what I'm going to demonstrate with this one. Again, this is the new Crop Circle Stencil. This is not part of the card kit. It is a separate stencil that you can purchase. And we want to let it cool down. And look at how beautiful that came out. Stunning, right? Okay, so now, I can't get over that. And it's dimensional, it's smooth, it's really pretty. Okay, so the question is, what do you do with all this extra foil? Well, you foil it again. Well, what do you do with it? Okay, so there's a couple different things you can do with it. You can just save it and look at it, and it's really pretty. Now, when you have an extra piece of foil like this, or an extra piece of foil like these are from the other ones that I did, you can use the outside pieces of these and still, like, you use them for sentiments or something like that. But when you have a big, beautiful piece like this, you're going to reuse this on the polyglaze sheets. This is why I told you guys it's important to keep, you know, buying these polyglaze or the Thermoweb black toner sheets. But the polyglaze sheets are exactly for this purpose. Remember, I told you when these first came out, make sure you mark the back of them with an X, so you know what is the front and what is the back. Okay, so I've already marked these with an X. And I'm only going to cut down what I need. So I'm going to cut down my Gina K trimmer. And I'm just going to cut down, let's do an A2 size here. So 5.5 by 4 1/4. They're already 5.5 in width, so I just need a 4 1/4 size here, right? And it's marked with an X, so I'm going to put that one away and save it for my next project. This is marked with an X. So now we're going to line up the side without an X. See, it has a little bit of a sheen to it. That's the side with the polyglaze. And the polyglaze is very similar to the fused foiling gel, but it's already on paper and it's ready to go in the machine. So what this is going to allow us to do is transfer this foil. So I want to find the nicest side of the foil, the prettiest side of the foil, and I'm going to line up the side without the X. The side with the X doesn't have anything on it. The side without the X is the side with the polyglaze. So I want to line up my foil and pick the prettiest side of the foil for that polyglaze to line up. In other words, anything you see the foil touching is going to stick. Okay, so I want to center this. I want to line it up. And I'm going to put it back in my carrier sheet. Okay. And some of you may also have to turn your machine up to 4. I find with my machine, the polyglaze works better if my machine is thoroughly heated. So I do my polyglaze after I'm done doing all my foiling for the day, and it works best for me when my machine is on 4, okay? Some of your machines get really hot very quickly, and you don't need to do that. Now, here I have a little bit of extra foil. Here I have a little bit of extra foil. So I'm just going to take my little Gina K, my little pokey tool, and before I even do any foiling, see how I have all these little extra bits? I don't want any of that transferring to my polyglaze sheet. So there are just like 2 little pieces over here. I'm just going to scrape those off the back side before I even get started. And that's all you do is just take a little scrapey tool or scissors and just scratch that off before we even get to putting it on there, because if it's on your sheet it will transfer to your polyglaze. So if you don't want it on there, now for where the foil is missing, like it's missing right here on my center, there's nothing I can do about that. If it's missing, you cannot add foil. But if there's excess foil, like right there's a little excess piece of foil, I can just scratch the back of that off and not have that transfer over. So again, pick the prettiest parts of the foil and line it up. Now you don't have to use this foil immediately. If you want, I have a little basket next to my desk, and I keep all of my excess or inverse foils, we call these. Some people call them waste foil, leftover foil, whatever you want to do. I keep all of mine in a little basket for when I'm ready to use them. But these will only stick to toner sheets or polyglaze sheets. That's what you want to use them for, okay? Sometimes they come out really great. Sometimes they come out a little distressed looking, which is okay. All right, so now I've kind of cleaned that up. I'm going to make sure all my little extra specks of foil are off of there. All right, so now I've cleaned this up pretty well. And I'm going to line this up again to where I think this is going to look pretty good. And again, the X is always going to be not covered. I want to cover the shiny sheen side, not the X side. The X side is not to be covered because that's just plain paper. Believe me, you don't want to get that mixed up. So, all right, that looks pretty good for me. All right, and then we're going to put this back in our carrier sheet. My machine is on 4. It is nicely heated up and green now. Folded side goes in. I'm going to hold that as it goes through, not pushing it, just kind of guiding it. A piece of hair stuck to my machine. We never want hair near foiling. And as that goes through, it's exiting the back, and we can let go. So this was what it looked like when we foiled it, or sorry, when we stenciled it through the stencil with the fuse foiling gel. And this is what we call the reverse or the inverse, okay? Some people call it, again, negative foiling. And you say, well, why did you have extra bits? Because when I put the gel through, you can see there are hills and valleys of the gel. And it missed the foil there because I wasn't perfectly smooth when I did it with my palette knife. So my foil, you know, there's a little valley there, there's a little valley there. So my foil didn't go into those little crevices, and that's why it stayed. And those were the little bits, but for the most part, I think I did okay. So now I have my own background. So if you wanted to toner foil this on black paper, this would be very difficult to do, to try to laser print this on black paper. It's notorious to try to find a laser, a black paper to laser printer for us to do. We want to let this completely cool. Now remember, when you are ripping it off of a poly glaze sheet, you want to let it completely cool and rip it off very quickly. So we're letting this completely cool. And I'm going to grab a corner and I'm going to go super fast. And look at that. So this is what you do with the leftover foils then. So now we have our stenciled image with the fused foiling gel. It has a lot of dimension. It's pretty cool. You can feel that. And that came from a stencil. Then we take the leftover piece of foil and we use a poly glaze sheet. And we use that leftover piece of foil with the poly glaze sheet that came from a stencil. And that's how you use the leftover. And it looks like I toner printed that from my laser printer, but I didn't. I used a stencil. Isn't that cool? And we get the reverse or the inverse image. And that's how we get that to work. Isn't that pretty neat? So there you go. If you want to learn more about foiling, join me over at the Foiling Snobs Club on my Facebook group, or please subscribe to my channel. If you're interested in any of these images, these are brand new over at Gina K Designs. Of course, you can pick up your fuse foiling system. She also has this as a UK, European version. She also has it as an Australian version. The difference is it's going to have the right voltage and the right plug for you. So you want to make sure that you do that. Of course, there's your little reminder to Dusty Dusty. But the difference is this is specifically made for foiling. So you have 0 through 5. It is not the same as a laminator. It has a 6-inch opening specifically for card makers that want to do foiling. She just released a whole bunch of new foiling colors through ThermoWeb Deco Foil. Again, I did do a video comparing the two gels. They are slightly different, even though they are manufactured by the same company. So I'll link that video down in the description as well. And I already did an unboxing video of some of the new card kits and products that are in the March release, and I just wanted to show you guys in more detail of what you can do with some of that fused foiling gel with some of the new release items. This is the Mega Bloom, which is part of the card kit, and this is the Crop Circles, which is not part of that, but I wanted to show you that with some of the new items that are part of the card kit and the release for March 2025 in cooperation with the fused foiling gel for those of you guys that are into foiling. So if you had fun watching this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in shopping, please click the links down below, and don't forget to click yes for cookies. That lets Gina K's team know that I sent you her way. It does not cost you anything extra. And if you want to know more about foiling, click the subscribe button as well as the bell so that you get notifications when I am posting new videos. More things to come, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.